Hey there everybody, we're back with another video. This video we're going to be fixing up the iPad 5th generation. The issue with this tablet is the internal LCD screen is actually damaged. So we're going to go ahead and replace that. Now, what you're going to want to do before starting the repair, you're going to want to go ahead and preheat the screen. If you didn't notice, the actual glass itself isn't damaged, so that part's not going to be fixed. It's going to be the internal screen only. So heat up the screen. The adhesive that it has by factory is very strong. So make sure that when you do heat it up, you do heat it up for a good time. It has to be a nice even heat. And just go ahead and heat it up along the edges. You could use anything. You could use a heat gun. If you have a hairdryer, you can use that as well. We have a mat that just disperses like a nice even heat, so we could go ahead and take it off. Now along the edges, you don't want to go too far in. Normally, if the LCD isn't damaged, I'd recommend not going all the way in with your pry tool. Just get the outer edge and go along the sides of it. Now, with it already being hot, the adhesive is going to be a little bit loose, but what does help sometimes is by using a little bit of rubbing alcohol. So you can just apply a little bit of rubbing alcohol to the end of your pry tool. That helps it glide a little bit more and loosen up the adhesive, so that way it comes off all in one piece. So just be very careful, especially when going along the edges. There can be connectors that run around there, and especially with the tablets, there are a couple of connectors along the side that you do not want to tear, because if you do, then that makes the repair a lot more bigger than it has to be. So just go along the sides. Don't pry up on it. You don't want to essentially damage the screen in case if it isn't damaged. Just take your time. It is a repair that requires a lot of time, a lot of patience. If this is a repair that you don't think that you'd be able to do yourself, you can go ahead. There will be a link down in the description below that you can go ahead and click. If you live outside of Arizona, if you reside in any of the 50 states in the US, you can go ahead and click that link and you can send us your device, so that way we can repair it for you. Essentially, once you send it in, it takes about 12 to 24 hours for the device to be repaired and sent back to you. And as soon as it's ready, like I said, we send it back directly to you over the mail. Or if you are in Arizona, if you're in any of Phoenix, Glendale, anything, you can go ahead. We have 3 stores across the valley. We have one in Glendale, one in South Phoenix, and another in Phoenix that you can visit. We accept walk-ins, and you can bring in your device, and we can go ahead and get you settled up with a repair. So as you can see here, the adhesive is already started to let go a little bit. Don't put a lot of pressure when you are pulling up on the screen. Just let it loosen up on its own. Sometimes it can be a little bit tricky. Like I said, this does require a little bit of patience, so just be careful, take your time. Right here, we could already see that it's starting to let go. You can hold it, that way it doesn't re-stick back to the frame. The adhesive, the factory adhesive, is pretty strong, so you can go ahead and you could put something there like a playing card, something that can just prevent it from sticking back on itself, so that way it makes it a little bit more easier to take the screen off. Okay, and as you can see here, we're at the bottom portion of the screen now for the tablet. Right around the home button, there is a little bit of extra adhesive. Just be very careful, that way you don't tear the connector to the actual home button itself, or that you put enough pressure on the screen that it could break. So just go ahead. You can reheat it up if you need it. If it's necessary, you can reheat it up. That way it does loosen the adhesive up a little bit. All right, and as you can see there, we've got it to go ahead and opened up. You don't want to fully open up this screen. The connectors are a little bit fragile. You could hold it up at a 90-degree angle. That's the recommended way that you should hold it, just so you don't snap or tear any of the connectors. All right, and what we're gonna go ahead and start doing here is there's 4 screws along the corners of the LCD that you got to take off before removing it. The screws aren't any particular size. They're all the same size, but what we do recommend is even if they are the same size, put them in the same order that you took them off. That way there's no issue with you having to put them back on. You can just remember where it is that you got them from exactly. So just go ahead, put them aside, but put them in an order that you remember that they're going to go in. All right, and once those screws are out, you can go ahead and lift the LCD screen. Same thing as the other screen, don't lift it up all the way, just at a 90-degree angle. And what we're doing now here is we are unscrewing the connector for the battery. It's just one screw. Once you take that out, you can go ahead and lift the connector up. Don't pull it up all the way. It's just a simple clip connector, so all you want to do is just pry it up out of the space, and that's it. After that, as you can see here, we have a bracket. This bracket holds down all the connectors for the LCD, the digitizer. It's got 3 screws. Same thing, they are the exact same size, but we recommend that when you take them off, you take them off and you put them aside the same order that you took them off in, so that way it doesn't cause any issues. Now that that bracket is freed up, we can go ahead and fully remove our LCD. Sometimes the bracket does tend to stick to the back of the connector. You can go ahead, just get your pry tool and you can take it off of there as well. And now here we have our new LCD screen. Now, mind the fingerprints, that's not actually on the actual LCD. The new LCD screens come with a plastic over the screen. That way it prevents any fingerprints that you might accidentally put on the screen. Don't put any fingerprints on the screen. If you do smudge the screen, it is a little bit difficult to take them off. So we recommend leaving the plastic on until you're fully about to close the tablet up. Now the connectors, just align them, make sure that they are where they're supposed to go connected, and make sure that when you do go and connect them, you line them up, and then you should be able to feel a little click. That way it indicates, letting you know that it's in place. After that, just place your bracket back on, and then the 3 screws that you took off in the order at first, just go ahead and put them back on in the order that you took them off. Now, like I said, most of the times these repairs do look a little bit easy. If you're not up to the challenge yourself, that's perfectly fine. The link down below will help you. That way you can go ahead and send it to us. If you are within the United States and any of the 50 states, you could click that, you could send it to us, we repair it, and then we send it back to you. Or if you are in the Arizona area, if you are in the Valley, we do have 3 stores, one in Glendale, South Phoenix, and Phoenix. We do accept walk-ins. You go ahead, walk in, and we will set you up with a repair, so that way you can get your device looking like brand new. Now the screws are pretty tiny, so you are going to need a little bit of patience with this as well. But once you put on all your LCD bracket and the screws, you're going to want to go ahead and do the same thing with the battery. Just go ahead and push that down a little bit, put the screw in, and that's it. After that, what's going to follow is you can go ahead and turn it on before putting in all the 4 screws in the corner. Now this bottle right here, for most of you guys that are concerned, it is not water. It is actually rubbing alcohol that we can use along the sides when we take the screen off. So yeah, don't think that we're being reckless in leaving it open. The bottle's actually sealed. All right, now our last screw's been put into place, and as you can see here, this is a brand new LCD. Now, like I said before, mind the fingerprints. Those are only going to be on there temporarily. It does have a little plastic protector that goes over the LCD. That way it prevents any smudges. So here, the method that we use a little bit of tape just to pull up on the plastic. That way we can go ahead and remove it. And as soon as we remove it, you're going to see that there's no longer going to be any fingerprints. Be a little bit cautious with this. You don't want to damage your brand new LCD. And just peel up slowly, and as you can see there, no more fingerprints. So once that's done, you should still have the old adhesive on there. You're just going to go on ahead and line up the digitizer, make sure that it is fitting into place like it's supposed to. And just press firmly along the edges, making sure that the adhesive does hold it back into place. What we're actually going to go ahead and do is we are going to go ahead and heat it up a little bit afterwards, just to make sure that it does adhere correctly. Now the customer, when they brought it in, it did have a little bit of stickiness on the screen. We're just going to go ahead and get a rag, preferably with rubbing alcohol. Don't use water. And we're just going to go ahead and wipe it down, make sure that it's nice and clean for when the customer comes and picks it up. Now when cleaning them, it's also important to note, don't put a lot of pressure on the screen, as you can crack the glass, and that's going to be another hassle, especially if you've already gone ahead and replaced it. You don't want to go ahead and go through the process of replacing it again. So all the gunk and everything that was on the screen, we're just gonna make sure that it's free of that. And as I stated at the start of the video, we just went ahead and replaced the LCD. We didn't replace the digitizer. This is the customer's digitizer. We just went ahead and replaced the LCD that was broken on the inside. And then after that, we're gonna go ahead, this is our heating pad that we use to open them up. We're actually gonna go ahead and set that back on there for a couple minutes. You can leave it on there for a minute or 2 minutes. This is gonna help the adhesive loosen up a little bit. And it's gonna help the digitizer grab onto that adhesive. So that way it is gonna be 100% sealed, and it's gonna hold it down really nice and tight. All right, and that should be about it. If you want, you can go ahead and just give it a final press along the edges to make sure that everything is 100% flush, and that's it. Like I said, it's a pretty simple repair. If you're not up to it, you can go ahead, bring it to us, or you can send it to us through the mail. If you like this video, please go ahead, share it, subscribe, like the video. All of your feedback helps us bring out more content like this. That way we can help you out. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments below.